What do 300 million people in the world have in common? They use Truecaller to identify messages and calls before answering them. Started in 2009 in Stockholm, Sweden, Truecaller has helped people identify over 184.5 billion spam calls in 2021 alone. Half of Truecaller users are women, and this has helped in recognizing how harassment over phone calls and texts have become a major concern for them all across the world, and the critical need to take action. They found that 8 out of 10 women in India receive inappropriate calls and messages. Truecaller launched its Not OK campaign in 2017 that was designed to raise awareness, amplify the message and empower women to speak up against harassment both in digital communication and in the real world. Truecaller's aim was to understand the problem women face and encourage women to take action by reporting harassment to the authorities while generating awareness and conversations around it. Truecaller has emerged as the frontline defense for women against inappropriate calls and messages. Over 37.8 billion spam calls have been blocked and identified in 2021 alone. After all, digital communication should be safe for everyone, and Truecaller continues on the mission to build trust in communication by empowering women to tackle harassment. This year, Truecaller joins hands with Network18, India's largest news network, to spread the message further. This initiative will highlight real-life stories of women who have raised their voice against harassment, along with educating the public on what constitutes harassment, while encouraging women to take action against such activities by providing them with the necessary information and details about police, NGOs, trauma experts, learnings through real-life represented cases and more. On-ground outreach with city town halls, vox pops and marches. All of these activities will be amplified through Network18's digital and publication platforms along with these social assets. It's your turn to say it's not okay to online harassment and call it out.
Hello everyone, as always it is very good to see you. We are coming to you on a very special day, International Women's Day. This is a day when we celebrate the social, economic, cultural and political achievement of women across the world.
Today, it is doubly special for us as we launch a campaign that empowers women to rightfully claim their personal spaces. Welcome to the launch of Network18 and Truecaller's anti-harassment campaign. Call it out because it's not okay.
It's certainly not okay. Through our campaign, we want to embolden women to take a stand against harassment and call it out. Harassment of any kind, over any medium, on the phone, online, or in person, it's simply not okay. It's not okay to harass anyone.
Absolutely, and it's not okay to ignore harassment either. We cannot allow anonymous perpetrators to hide behind a phone or digital screen and invade, quite literally invade our personal space through lewd calls and messages. Only if we report harassment will it stop.
So don't just block. Important to know, you need to call it out. Let me now welcome the first guest on this mega launch, the Honorable Minister of State, Ministry of Women and Child Development, Dr. Munjapara Kalubhai. Welcome so much. First, let's begin by asking you to share a few words on this big occasion.
Thank you and congratulations on the launch of campaign It's Not Okay. My greeting to everyone on the occasion of International Women's Day. Unfortunately, women across the world face harassment on regular basis. Women get harassed on phone, on social media and in person. In 2020, lakhs of cases of crime against women were reported in India as per National Crime Record Bureau. Though cases of crime against women in cities were down by 8.3% in the year 2020 as compared to 2019. The Ministry of Women and Child Development has undertaken a number of measures to enhance the safety of women in India. Our mission is to promote the social and economic empowerment of women through several policies and programs, mainstreaming gender concerns, creating awareness about women's rights, and facilitating institutional and legislative support for enabling them to realize their human rights and develop to their full potential. The government has set up non-lapsable Corpus Nirbhaya Fund for enhancing safety and security of women. The Ministry of Women and Child Development is also implementing scheme including the scheme of One-Stop Center for Violence Affected Women, the scheme of universalization of Women Helpline number 181, and the scheme of Mahila Police Volunteers under Nirbhaya Fund framework. The Government of India has enacted the Protection of Women from Sexual Harassment at Workplace Prevention, Prohibition and Redressal Act, the SH Act 2013, with objective to create a safe and secure workplace for women free from sexual harassment. We have launched the Sexual Harassment Electronics Box, C-Box, to provide a single window access to every woman, irrespective of her work status, whether working in organized or unorganized, private or public sector, to facilitate the registration of complaint related to sexual harassment. Any woman facing sexual harassment at workplace can register their complaint through this portal. Once the complaint is submitted to the C-Box, it will be directly sent to the concerned authority having jurisdiction to take action into the matter. It is the need of our for all the stakeholders to come together and wage a war against harassment. In this regard, I would like to congratulate Network18 and Truecaller for launching the campaign It's Not Okay. Call it out to fight back against harassment. It is important for women to report harassment, and it is equally important for us to take action against all forms of harassment. We remain committed to ensuring the safety of women.
Thank you so much, sir, for your support and for joining us on this campaign. Now, It's Not Okay was launched 5 years ago to generate conversation around the issue of harassment, provide means to fight back, and create a platform to share solutions and advice.
And now let us welcome the co-founder of Truecaller, Mr. Nami Zaringalam.
Hi, it gives me immense pleasure to be delivering this important message on the occasion of International Women's Day, which is earmarked to celebrate the spirit of women and commemorate the social, economic, cultural, and political achievements of women around the globe. India has had a history of women leaders with extraordinary courage and commitment across fields. It is heartening to see more and more women breaking barriers, challenging stereotypes, and championing for a positive change towards creating an equal and inclusive society. As they say, when you empower a woman, you empower a nation. We at Truecaller have been on an unwavering journey since the inception of our company, trying to help the community by building safe and efficient communication. As the co-founder of Truecaller, over the past few years, I've had the pleasure of seeing our app rise to the top in large and fast developing markets around the world, and most notably India, which has become our home market and my second home away from Sweden. Women and personal safety as a subject is very close to Truecaller. We have undertaken several initiatives in the past to further this agenda, including the It's Not Okay campaign to increase awareness on harassment faced by women and enhance women's safety in digital communications. Through our past research, we have found that although 1 in 5 women in India receives sexual harassment calls, only 12% report it to the authorities. This shows the extent of normalization of harassment in society. This in turn adversely impacts women's confidence and hinders their ability to grow and thrive. With the world moving to digital space and the internet being the town square of the 21st century, it is where debate takes place. Communities are built, products are sold, and reputations are made. But the scale of online abuse means that, for too many women, these digital town squares are unsafe. This is a threat to progress and gender equality in society. I recall my first conversation with a journalist during one of my many trips to India. She was curious to know what inspired this commitment that Truecaller has to fight women harassment, and I was equally curious to know her thoughts on Truecaller. Her response was just the validation we needed. Using Truecaller on her phone made her feel prepared, and more importantly, helped her block all the pesky calls that she would receive at all hours of the day. This was heartening for me. And so we kept innovating and refining the features to better serve the needs of our users. This time around, we believe it is vital to prioritize a couple of things that our women users have shared with us for their safety. They want to have more control over their experiences on our platform and an improved reporting mechanism. This is our key focus. It's Not Okay was launched as a step further to let women know that we understand these issues and stand in support. The campaign was initiated with the idea of encouraging women to come forward and share their experiences, seek help, and report any kind of harassment because it's definitely not okay to ignore. This year, we once again need to help women to not just speak out, but also take action. With our campaign, It's Not Okay, Call It Out, we want to pave the way for women everywhere to take the right call by not just focusing on awareness, but also encouraging and enabling women to take the next step by calling out harassment through It's Not Okay, Call It Out campaign with Network18. The campaign encourages women to communicate, speak out, and report instances of harassment. As a part of the campaign, we will engage with policymakers and law enforcement agencies to enable and promote a safe environment for women to be able to report instances of harassment. In the end, I would like to convey something to all women out there. Stay safe, stay alert, and be aware of your rights. I would urge every woman to take action anytime they feel uncomfortable with an incident, be it an inappropriate text message, domestic violence, or someone stalking you. Various government authorities and law enforcement agencies have already launched several initiatives in this regard, from she teams to women-friendly police stations to the latest Nirbhaya Squad. There are several programs in place that encourage and promote women to report crimes. There are also several helpline numbers, online portals, and mobile applications that have been either developed by the government or in collaboration with the government to ensure women's safety. Using Truecaller to block unwanted communication and our latest app, Guardians, to secure your personal safety is a good way to keep safe in regular life and even on the move. When I think about International Women's Day each year, I think about some of the great women who pioneered the path for future generations with the amazing work that they have done, and those who fight through inequality and injustice every day, like my mother, my wife, and many more. It's all our responsibilities that we keep going forward and remain fearless together with them. We at Truecaller launched It's Not Okay campaign to raise awareness against women harassment that occurs through mobile phones, with the aim to challenge the current scenario of normalizing harassment. And we stand with you and hope to be a support system in your hour of need. So don't be a silent sufferer or observer. Step in and report it. There will be a support system for you all the way through. Be a part of our campaign and take a stand against harassment. Every action contributes in a large way towards what's making society safe for everyone. Thank you.
To everyone watching, if you face harassment, call it out because it's not okay. And to report harassment, dial 112 or 181 or log on to cybercrime.gov.in.
Learn how to tackle harassment by taking the True Cyber Safe curriculum on itsnotok.in. We now bring you a story of a woman who decided to speak out against harassment. Take a look.
I'm Amreen. I'm 26 years old and I live in Bombay. I was born here and I've been here all my life. I'm a web designer. Last year, in the middle of the pandemic, I was supposed to meet a friend in the middle of a work day just for a cup of tea. We found the number of the restaurant and we gave them a call. The first number that I called, they said that this number is not the restaurant, that you have called, it's the other branch. As soon as I reached home, I get a message from a random number, and then there was this voice note along with the message. I played it, and it was this very disgusting, offensive message. Before the person could send anything else or follow it up with any other message, I immediately blocked it. That was presence of mind or just being extremely scared to hear anything more. I was a little scared after that, like, who is this person? I had no idea. I thought of talking to my parents, but it was just my mom there. I was a little scared about, you know, do I want to put her in that place where she also gets a little scared? So I ended up calling my friend, Shoaib.
I receive a message from my friend Amreen. She says, okay, here's this audio clip.
I just got this message from a random person. I have blocked it though.
I'll just be there, yeah?
My voice was quivering and I was very, very, not scared, more like angry at that point. Like, how did this happen? Like, you know, why did it happen? I don't know how I made the connection. So I ended up checking that on Truecaller. And on Truecaller, it listed it as the restaurant's official account.
I spent some time with her, and then once she was a little calmer, we were trying to decide what is it that we should do next. So I happened to call that particular number.
Bro, ये उल्टा सीधा मैसेज है. हम पुलिस में कंप्लेन कर देंगे.
Then next I called up the owner of that particular restaurant.
They were like, no, this, like, we cancelled this number a long time ago and this doesn't exist anymore. They were not ready to, you know, accept this as something that they overlooked and this should have been removed from the platform.
So we were like, okay, this is just not adding up. Somebody's lying in this case, so we obviously have to take it up with the police.
So the next step, after putting it up on social media, writing about it, screenshots, tagging the right organizations, we decided to put it up on the cybercrime cell. Most important thing here is to speak about it to people you trust, speak about it to your parents, have more faith in the system, have more faith in calling these people out. You are supposed to do this. You are supposed to take these steps to make sure this doesn't happen to anyone else, rather than just never speaking about it again or treating it as like something that is, you know, normal, because it is not. It's really not.
Amreen has reported the offence online, which is fine. But you need to understand, for kicking in the police system, you have to go to the local police station, which is going to investigate your matter. You have to, in writing, give a written police complaint along with all the evidences attached, all the leads that you have about the case. The police takes crimes against women very seriously.
To report harassment, dial 112 or 181 or log on to cybercrime.gov.in.
Call It Out is a movement that really aims to educate and empower women to take action against harassment. It gives me immense pleasure to welcome now on board Chairperson of the National Commission for Women, Rekha Sharma. Rekha ji, appreciate your time.
Rekha ji, the NCW, that's the National Commission of Women, received, I believe, around 31,000 complaints of crimes committed against women in 2021 alone. On average, how many cases of harassment are reported to NCW every month, and what percentage of cases do you reckon go unreported?
In a year, we get from 30 to 40,000 cases. And most of the cases of harassment, whether it is domestic or outside, this is just a tip of iceberg. This is just a tip, because when they don't know 100 number, which is very common, 181, they don't know these numbers, then how will they know that NCW is a body? UN data says that every third woman is being harassed in the world. So you can imagine that how many women must be getting these harassments. But then in India, most of the women don't even know where to go.
So let me ask you another question. In your own experience, what are the key challenges that women face while trying to report cases of harassment?
There is a mindset of general public that it's okay if a boy or a man is just verbally teasing you or even touching you. They think that it is okay, and unless something is very harmful or something is, if somebody is physically harming you, you should not go to the police. This is a mindset of general public, even the family members. They think that there is a stigma attached to a person who is going to the police. So they discourage their daughters, their young women to go to the police. That is a big sad situation we are facing, and NCW is doing gender sensitization program, but only those programs will not be enough unless we change the system, unless we change the family system and upbringing of the boys. Nothing will change, I think. So we are working towards it, but I think it's a long way till we achieve where women can go and get help immediately. Till that point, I think the society has to stand by a woman.
And that brings us to this very important question. What can women do to tackle / report cases of harassment, and what are the resources that women can reach out to seek this help? Where do they go?
Firstly, she should, call 181 if any kind of problem she is having, whether it is domestic or outside. Secondly, then she can call 100, dial 100 number. She can write to us, NCW. So women should always come forward for asking help.
And Rekha ji, how much of a role does lack of awareness play in increasing instances of harassment against women, both in terms of recognizing harassment and also reporting it?
Unless a woman or a girl is aware of her legal rights, is aware of the rights which our constitution has given us, I don't think she will be able to get help what is required. NCW is doing these awareness programs, as I said, with NALSA and state legal service authorities. But then how many people we can penetrate? For that, I think our own education system should be like, along with the education, they also should teach them their legal rights.
Rekha ji, as the digital gender gap reduces and more women in India are moving online, what are the specific issues related to online safety and harassment that women have to be simply prepared for?
Firstly, the women should know when they are using computer, what is, how they can secure their own data, their own privacy. When they know someone, they realize someone, they start sharing their private pictures, everything with them, without thinking that once the relationship is not there and the relationship is not working, it can be misused. So they should be doubly assured from the person with whom they are sharing things. Secondly, they should know where to go when something is happening to them. They can write to cybercrime @gov.in, and they can write about whatever problem they have. They can write to their own police stations also, and every state has got cyber cell where they can complain. Even in Delhi, there is DCP cybercrime. They can write to that DCP cybercrime and get help from them.
And that brings us to the last question on this conversation, Rekha ji. Today is International Women's Day. What will be your message to all those girls and women watching this broadcast?
For me, every day is Women's Day, first of all. And this message which I give, every day I give to every woman, that you must speak out. If you need help, speak out. Unless you speak, nothing will change. A woman who will speak out, yes, people will point at you that she is the one who is always raising questions, she is the one who raises her voice, but that is why God has given us voice, to raise it when something is happening to you or to other person. I think we women should handhold other women, only then things will change. We have to talk, we have to shout, not only for ourselves, for others.
Thank you so much for joining us. And as Rekha Sharma was pointing out, that it's not okay for women to stay silent, because only when you speak out against harassment and call it out can this battle be fought and won.
On that note, joining us next on our mega launch is someone very special, the mega launch of Call It Out Because It's Not Okay. We have badminton player Jwala Gutta who is joining us. Jwala, always good to see you, smiling brightly there. You are a celebrity with a huge online presence, we know that. Technology has huge advantages like connecting with people seamlessly. We all depend on it. We all depended on it, in fact, during the lockdown as well. But there are challenges as well. Have you faced harassment online or over the phone? And what did you do? What did you do? You're a celebrity.
Thank you for having me. It's always a great pleasure talking to all of you. I'm one athlete where I've always been criticized for who I am and how I am, how I look, and what I say. Somehow it's never expected out of a woman, I feel. Whenever a woman wants to say, put forward her opinion, it's never taken in the right way. And I feel even before COVID, I was called made in China, wanted me to prove my nationality online. I think wo pehle hota tha, right? Eve teasing. Now they have a larger platform. Now they can sit, and also the power of anonymity, I think, has given sabko ye freedom that we can harass anybody or tease anybody or say anything they like under a false user ID. That's why I've always stressed social media policing should become a little more stricter, because I feel sometimes that there are very young kids behind these user ID, and if they're not counseled, I feel more than anything, more than punishing them, I think they need counseling. I believe in counseling. I think a regular counseling is very important, and the policing should become a little stricter, I think. Also because I feel the kind of words these people have started using, I won't be surprised if they become violent or in real, not just in social media. So because the fear of getting caught, is not there. And whenever I feel it is very important, I try to report it to the cyber crime police, the cyber police. And then the trollers do get a little worried, but I think it's still not enough. It's still not enough. We need to do a little more.
And through our campaign, Jwala, Call It Out Because It's Not Okay, we are encouraging women to stand up against harassment. How important is it for women to raise their voice? And for all of us stakeholders, I would say, because media is a critical stakeholder in this fight, to come together, stand shoulder to shoulder to tackle this?
Absolutely, Maria. I think it's very important for people to, women to come out and voice it out, because I think this keeping quiet or not doing anything about it is kind of an encouragement for all these people who are trying to harass women online and offline. I think it's very important for each of us to come out, voice it out, support each other. I really wish that all the women in the powerful position encourage other women to come out and voice it out and call these people out, because I guess it's important now. We're living in 21st century now, and it's high time we do something about it.
Jwala, our social conditioning has a huge role to play in how we deal with harassment. Now, many a times, you're just told, ignore it. As a role model for many people who are watching this, what would be your message, especially to young women, young Indians, when it comes to fighting harassment? Should they just ignore it and say, "Ye khatam ho jayega"?
Shreya, I think this culture of victimize the victim or the victim's family has forced everybody to keep quiet about any kind of harassment. My dad always told me to stand up against these people who used to eve tease us, and I always stood up. And I also saw this, that these people who try to harass the women, they're also very scared in nature because they know what they're doing is not right. So I feel that the policing of social media should become super strict, and I think we need to add counseling sessions in schools for children and for parents, to as to how to talk to your children at home, what kind of words are using the right words. The choice of words are very important. Always asking the girl to be careful, don't do this, don't do that, you have to be careful. I think all of this has to stop, because that somehow instills a kind of fear um, uh, in women when they grow up. So on this Women's Day, I would like to tell all the women out there that stop doubting yourself. I think the minute you start doubting, you start, I think you doubt everything you do then. So stop doubting yourself, believe in yourself, and if you have not, if you are the victim, you have nothing to fear. You have to come out, call it out, call those people who have, who are responsible, and use the system to our advantage. The system is there to protect us. Use the system. Don't be scared, and believe that there will be a change in future. Believe.
Jala Gupta, thank you very much for joining us on this broadcast. Thank you for encouraging everyone to fight harassment. And of course, to our dear viewers, people who are watching us today, to report harassment, you need to dial 112 or 181, or you can simply log on to cybercrime.gov.in.
And the reason why we are flashing those numbers repeatedly is for you to understand the need to report, because it is important for you to learn how to tackle harassment by taking the True Cyber Safe curriculum on itsnotok.in.
It's now time to welcome on the show renowned social activist, writer and academic Dr. Ranjana Kumari, who is also the director of Center for Social Research, CSR, which is a non-profit organization based in New Delhi. Ranjana ji, good to have you on the show. Thank you very much for joining us. Ma'am, you've worked on gender issues for decades now. What are your thoughts on the targeted harassment faced by women in India over the phone, online and in person? Could you tell us why exactly it is important to call out any sort of harassment?
Thank you, Maria and Shreya, for having me here on a very, very important day. Extremely happy that you are running this campaign. It's very, very timely and extremely important. Now, to answer your question, why it is important to call out? Because if you will not, then you are emboldening the criminal or people who are harassing you. You are really giving them a chance, and also a feeling of nervousness and scare sets in you, which is not only pushing you back, but also is very, very bad for mental health. It's just also important to understand that once you call out, then many others will get the courage. There was a time when women never spoke about anything that happened to them. And then slowly and slowly the voice came. And now the voice is very loud and clear that we will not tolerate any kind of violence.
And Ranjana ji, through our campaign, we aim to educate and empower women to stand up against harassment. As you were saying, the need to report as well. What do you think are some of the biggest challenges that women face when it comes to reporting cases of harassment?
Well, thank you, Maria. This is an important question because it is really, getting into in fact, in some sense, you're answering your first question also, because women face a lot of barriers. It's not just one barrier. The first barrier is she herself, because as a socialization process, she is been told to keep silent. She has been told by the family, the schools, everywhere. The socialization so far has been, and in larger part of the country even now it is like this, that they will be told to keep silent because what will people say, is one question constantly in the minds of women. The secondly, also, when they are trying to reach out, it's not easy. It's very easy to say go to police station, report. Then after that, what follows is courts, and then in the court, the environment. A lot of women are now encountering all that, but there was a time when you enter the court, there were hardly any women anywhere. Now, of course, there are many more, and lawyers are there. And also, what is important to understand is that a family that comes as another level of barrier, that normally girls will be told to keep quiet. So you can see that how basically women have to fight many levels of these barriers to come out and to be able to feel strong, and for that they need a lot of support system.
Ranjana ji, what are some of the key initiatives undertaken by the Center for Social Research for the welfare of women and girls? And how can education and shift in social norms help in improving the state of women in India?
Well, our 5 major areas of work at Center for Social Research from its foundation, which is almost like 3.5 decades now, has been, looking at and helping in creating support systems for violence against women. And to that effect, we have really worked hard when we got the National Commission for Women. In fact, National Commission for Women was created by all of us. And even some of the part of the draft was my own handwritten draft when we really proposed the commission, and finally it is now functioning very well. Now, the other things that we have focused on mostly, and especially these days, is the girl child education, because also pandemic has seen a lot of girl children getting dropped out. Our very, very important area of work has been running the centers and counseling centers across the city, where we get victims of violence to come and report to us. We handhold them, we counsel, we bring the other party. Then also, if the need be, we help them register these cases, and also provide the lawyers who are willing to do pro bono, support. Uh, Other than that, of course, women's leadership we think is very, very important. And of late, much more focus is on the area of digital world, because it's a big challenge. This whole pandemic had pushed a lot of people, women, children, into digital world. They are all using internet, but very, very unsafe space if you don't know how to protect yourself. So that's what we are doing.
Ma'am, tell us, how can all the key stakeholders, government, social organizations such as yours, lawmakers, law enforcers, all of them come together to ensure women get that safe environment to fight against harassment?
Maria, it's a very important question, because how many more decades, years, days women will suffer it? It's important that all stakeholders work hand in hand. Uh, Very, very important role is of the agencies which are being created for helping women who are suffering harassment. For example, national commissions for women, state commissions for women. We do also have women and child ministry. I think this is something where we need to roll out the one-stop crisis intervention centers effectively in every district, every city of the country, every block of the country, actually, so that women easily can access the support from state agencies. The other thing is also, we keep saying it and I'm again repeating it, that justice delivery system has to get more sensitized towards women's needs. The kind of response that women need, they must provide that kind of a response for getting women the confidence, and also to be able to fight back, to be able to get justice. It is important that system starts becoming much more sensitive. It's important to also look at the way civil society organizations are functioning. We all work on a very, very small shoestring budgets. We are really always, being questioned, but at the same time, you will see a lot of women's organizations build the issue of women's rights in the country. They are working towards empowerment of women for decades now. It's important to strengthen them.
And finally, ma'am, today is Women's Day. Anything you'd like to say to everyone who's watching you right now?
Thank you, Shreya, for asking this question, because without men, I think our struggle will remain incomplete, and that's very important that men start understanding that it is as much their responsibility to help work towards and also to build a culture of respect for women's dignity. In this, women and men have to be together. We all have to come together to work, and we all have to, especially for the boys, I have a message that, don't think that you can get away with this. Now we have laws in place. We have, women who can speak out, and also that if you don't respect your friends, your girlfriends, your wife, your family members, women family members, then certainly you will not be respected. And for women, on International Women's Day, please do celebrate it. We should celebrate it because we are women. We should celebrate it because we are getting empowered. We should celebrate it because we have to hold hands of our sisters to come together and to be able to get what really is due to us, what is justice for us.
Thank you, Ranjana ji. Hope this inspires both women and men to stand united against harassment. We have been saying that it is about generating conversations. It's about ensuring that men and women come together in this fight against harassment. And Shreya, as we have been saying, that number, dial 112 or 181 to report harassment, or log on to cybercrime.gov.in.
That's right, and you can learn how to tackle harassment by taking the True Cyber Safe curriculum on itsnotok.in. Now, let's listen in to women talk about the issue of safety and their awareness about the recourse available if they encounter harassment. This is what some women told us.
छोटा मोटा harassment तो होता है, अननोन नंबर से हमें कॉल आते हैं. कॉलर तो एक नंबर से कॉल करेगा, एक नंबर ब्लॉक किया वो दूसरे नंबर से कॉल करेगा. I do get some inappropriate messages. I was only aware for that 100 number. मैं दिल्ली में सेफ नहीं हूँ.
I did face harassment over a call. So there was this guy who called me over 25 times in the span of like 20 minutes only.
Sometimes I do get some inappropriate messages, and so I just go and check, cross-check the number on Truecaller, and since if I don't know the person, I'll just block and report the number.
As a girl, I don't feel safe in Delhi because I face like lots of discrimination in Delhi itself.
वैसे तो मैं यहाँ 20 साल से हूँ, और ये छोटा मोटा harassment तो होता है. पहले ज़्यादा होता था, अब थोड़ा कम होता है. अब लड़कों के अंदर भी अवेयरनेस हो गया कि अगर हम कुछ करते हैं तो पुलिस डंडा चलाएगी.
कहना बहुत आसान होता है कि अगर तुम्हें कोई मेंटली हरास कर रहा है तो रिपोर्ट करो, लेकिन वो जो प्रोसीजर होता है वो बहुत मुश्किल होता है.
हाँ, बहुत बार ऐसा होता है कि अननोन नंबर से हमें कॉल आते हैं. अगर हम मना भी करते हैं उसके बाद भी कॉल आते हैं, हमें हरास करा जाता है.
I think there is a women helpline number, but I don't have it as top of my mind. Actually, we all should know it, but for some reason I don't know the number.
Personally, I haven't thankfully faced that kind of harassment over calls or messages for that matter. But I've had friends who have, and usually the route they've taken is to either file a cyber police complaint. There's also a lot of hesitation because, again, not all of us are aware of all these processes and how to go about.
जितनी मेरी जानकारी है, मुझे पता है 1091 पे कॉल करते हैं हेल्पलाइन के लिए. आवाज़ उठाने से भी डर है, क्योंकि आवाज़ उठाएंगे तो पता नहीं रिटर्न में क्या आ जाएगा या फिर क्या बोल देंगे, बदनामी होगी और फिर ये सब चीज़ें फेस करने को मिलेंगी.
Like sometimes I'm scared to go out in the evening and to pick up random phone calls. Now I don't even pick up calls from random numbers just because I was harassed. It leaves a mark on you. So it's definitely very important to raise your voice.
मेरे पास में कॉल्स आए थे. ये कुछ 3 से 4 साल पहले की बात है. तो उस टाइम पे मैंने इमीडिएटली नंबर देखा एंड मैंने उस नंबर को जो है Truecaller पे चेक करने के बाद में उसको ब्लॉक कर दिया वहाँ पे इमीडिएटली, सो दैट मुझे फिर से कॉल्स जो है वो रिसीव ना हो उस नंबर से. कॉलर तो एक नंबर से कॉल करेगा, एक नंबर ब्लॉक किया वो दूसरे नंबर से कॉल करेगा. पहले अगर आपके पास में सबसे पहले कॉल आती है, ब्लॉक कीजिए. लेकिन अगर आपको लगता है कि कोई पर्सन आपको रिपीटेड कॉल्स कर रहा है, बार बार मल्टीपल कॉल्स आ रही है, उसको ब्लॉक करने के साथ साथ में उसको रिपोर्ट करना चाहिए.
So my blocking is actually affecting somebody else also, because that person will not stop over there. So when I report a case, that stops that person, that account is blocked, or it is creating an impact. So it's very important to report cases.
And joining us is a very special guest, Special Commissioner of Delhi Police, Shalini Singh. Thank you so much for joining us, Shalini ji. What are the immediate steps any woman or girl can take to report harassment as soon as she faces it?
So Delhi Police has taken a number of initiatives. The main one being that there is a helpline 1091 for women. There's another one 1096 for harassment. So please call up these helplines if you ever need any help. Don't suffer in silence. It's not okay. Call it out.
Shalini ji, a lot of women hesitate in calling helplines or even going to the police. Many are afraid to call these helplines because they fear they might get exposed to public shaming or face some uncomfortable questions. So can you help us clarify how these helplines work and what is to be expected when we call them?
See, whenever a woman calls up the women helpline or the anti-stalking helpline, the calls are usually attended by women officers who are in the control room. There is a special anti-stalking unit also in the control rooms. They at once respond, they listen to their problem, and then they direct the nearest PCR call if it's a physical stalker. Otherwise, if it is an online stalking, then it is immediately transferred to the cybercrime police stations. You must be aware that Delhi Police has recently opened 15 cybercrime police stations, one in each district. So the call goes to them, and immediately there is also in each police station also there is a cell for handling such kind of complaints, where women are there who handle it, and there is no need to be hesitant or scared, because these people have been trained to deal with these complaints sensitively. So please do not hesitate, please call it out.
Ma'am, could you tell us about the initiatives that have been undertaken by Delhi Police to ensure that women in the city feel safe?
The most recent of the initiatives is the pink booth. We have set up 48 pink booths all across the city. Apart from that, more booths are going to be set up. These are operated by women. So please don't hesitate in walking up to any of the booths and telling them whatever your problem is, because we are there to help you out. So please call it out. Don't keep silent about it. It's not okay to be silent. Call it out. Even if you are witnessing such a crime, call it out. Girls can walk up to these booths. We are there to be your guardian. We are there to help you out. We are there to ensure that whoever has been harassing you is brought to justice.
And Shalini ji, finally, as someone with long years in service in the Indian Police Services, on Women's Day, what is it that you'd like to tell every young girl who's watching you right now?
First of all, I would like to congratulate the audience on International Women's Day, and I'd like to say that call it out. That is what you really need to do on the occasion of Women's Day. Please pledge to call it out and not suffer in silence. If you see any person being harassed, even then you must call it out. So I congratulate Network18 and Truecaller for coming out with this campaign on this very occasion of International Women's Day. Congratulations to you once again.
Shalini ji, thank you very much for joining us on this special broadcast. You've indeed made it very special. Now, the fight against harassment has to be a collaborative effort where women feel safe in reporting harassment, and strict action must be taken against perpetrators as well.
And Shreya, we should call out every instance of harassment. Joining us now is a social media star, RJ Mehvesh. Mehvesh, thank you so much. You are very active on social media, and it certainly is a great medium to connect and engage with the audience. But it comes with its own challenges. Have you faced any harassment online, and how did you tackle it?
So hi Maria. Yeah, personally, as far as I am concerned, people have taken this to another level. So it's like I have faced it all, like rape threats, murder threats, and people getting as brutal as telling me that they'll rape me and feed my body to dogs and in front of so many people. And it's like, it's very embarrassing and insulting, and it takes a huge mental toll as well. So when it comes to how do I tackle it? First, you're never supposed to reply to these abusers. All they need is attention. So what I avoid is I don't reply to them first. Second, I tell it always to a trusted person. Whoever I trust, I go and tell them. Thirdly, what you can do is always be ready to take the legal action. So for that, you need the evidence. Always take the screenshot. You should block that person and you should keep the evidence ready in case you need to take the legal action. So that's how I tackle it.
And Mehvesh, of course, there is phone harassment. Have you encountered any sort of harassment over the phone in terms of maybe receiving uncomfortable calls or messages? And could you tell us what you did?
I remember one time that there was this serious creepy stalker who was there, and he used to call me at with different numbers. I blocked so many numbers and stuff like that. So what I did was I took the help from Women's Helpline. There is something called Women's Cell, which is 24/7 available. They're always available 24/7, and they come faster than the police. So yeah, this is one way to handle it.
And when it comes to harassment, how important is it to call it out? Do you agree that there has to be reporting of this harassment immediately to stop it?
It's obviously very, very important to call it out, because if you won't tell it to anyone, it'll keep growing. And tomorrow, the threats might become an action. So that's what scares me the most. So it is important to call out, but it is not, I would say it is not important to call it out that often. Because if even if you set one loud example, that would be enough.
Mehvesh, I also think it's time for men to act like responsible allies and to call out this harassment. What do you think can lead to a mindset change?
I think educating in itself can lead to mindset change, and we need to educate men more about like how to behave when you're in front of a woman, how to behave, how to respect them, how to, and we should show them examples also. I think more than studying sine cos theta, where it is not hardly used anywhere in this life, we need to understand more about how you should behave. So we need to have subjects in starting from the school to college, that how a person, how a man should behave when a woman is there in front, and how vice versa.
Lastly, what's your message today on International Women's Day?
Okay, so my message to the women of this world, of my country, I would say that that babe, you're wildly capable. Don't underestimate yourself. There would come a time when your parents, your friends, and nobody would stand for you. So what you need to do is you need to take stand for yourself, because what you have gone through is what you have faced only. Nobody can enter your brain. Nobody can enter your mind what you went through. So speak for yourself. Don't underestimate yourself, and yes, reach your capabilities. Reach to the maximum of it. That's what you should do. Don't be dependent on any man. Don't be dependent on any woman for that reason. Be dependent on yourself and keep growing.
Thank you, Mehvesh, for joining our movement. Call it out, because it's not okay.
It's certainly not okay. Being a target of harassment can be absolutely catastrophic for one's mental health and personal well-being. Let's hear about the impact it can have from leading psychiatrist Dr. Anjali Chhabria. Dr. Chhabria, good to have you on the show. Thank you very much. First of all, please give us an insight into the impact that both phone-based, online and offline harassment can have on women of all age groups, not just young women, but older women as well.
So when a woman is being harassed, there are a lot of thoughts that go through her mind. The immediate thoughts are that, what is happening? Am I imagining it? Is this real? And what did I do to deserve this? There may be a lot of emotions. There could be anger, there could be sadness, there could be recall of past harassment that comes into her mind. And she can also be thinking about how to take this further, whether she should just withdraw into a shell, whether she should share with anyone, or whether she should get angry and react at the situation. But end of it all, she does feel harassed, and each person handles this differently, but definitely it leaves an impact on her emotional health and also her physical health.
Ma'am, a lot of women don't want to talk about harassment. They feel uncomfortable discussing it. How important, according to you, it is for women to open up so that they understand the psychological impact it has had on them?
It's very important to open up when you're being harassed, because when somebody is being harassed, they think they are the only ones. But when you open up and start talking about it, you realize that you are not alone. If you're being harassed at the workplace and you discuss this with a senior, you may be surprised to know that there are other people who've been harassed before by the same person. And that makes you feel that yes, you're not alone, it's not your fault. And it also, when you share either with even people at home and they support you, it gives you a sense of confidence. It does not leave lasting emotional scars. Sometimes it may be difficult to share with your loved ones or people at work. And that is when we encourage people to go to a mental health professional and share with them, because they may be able to empathize with you, they may be able to help you to deal with what you have gone through in the best possible manner without getting extremely angry or without self-depreciating yourself and going into depression.
Dr. Chabria, a lot of women hesitate in calling helplines because they are afraid that they might get exposed to public shaming or face some uncomfortable questions. Can you please help all of us understand how these helplines work and what is it to be expected when you call them? For example, do you have a professional at hand at these helplines?
So what happens is, there are helplines, and the job of the helplines is to help you to deal with the harassment immediately and long term. There are emotional helplines which help you to deal with the emotional aftermath of it. There are helplines which have been started by the police which help you to deal with the problem at hand. And then there are legal helplines which help you to take legal recourse. So depending on your system, depending on where you are, and what you need, I think one must take the help. We often have preconceived judgments about these helplines, saying, oh, no one answers the phone or they may not help. What's the use? But till we do not try, we will not know, and we will be pleasantly surprised. Recently, there was an elderly woman who called me up because she was being harassed, and immediately we called the local police station. Earlier there was hesitation whether they would help, but we were pleasantly surprised. Not only did a policewoman come to her house, she listened to her patiently and supported her for a week till the problem was resolved.
And that brings us to the last question of this conversation, Doctor. What will be your message to all those girls who are watching this broadcast?
On this International Women's Day, I would like to tell all women who are listening to this is that we can take care of ourselves. Let's support ourselves first, and let's support each other, and let's say no to harassment.
Dr. Chabria, thank you very much for joining us on the broadcast, and thank you very much for your insights. Now, it's important to take steps towards ensuring safety on all fronts. Let's now shine the spotlight on the kind of harassment women face online.
मेरे को ना पर्सनली अपनी ऑनलाइन में डीपी लगाना सबसे ज़्यादा खतरनाक लगता है। मेरी एक दोस्त है, उसने डीपी लगाई थी और क्या हुआ कि कुछ 2-3 दिन बाद एक कोई रैंडम अकाउंट था और उसने उसकी डीपी अपने अकाउंट पे लगा ली और फिर उसके बाद अपने मतलब उसकी डीपी लगा के पूरा पब्लिसाइज कर रहा है कि मेरी गर्लफ्रेंड है, ये वो है, ऐसे करके मतलब कर दिया था उसके साथ।
When I was in 11th and 10th class, actually, when I even started my online social media classes, then मेरे को उस वक्त मैसेजेस आते थे एंड वो लोग जब यंग लड़कियां होती हैं ना उनको ज़्यादा मैसेजेस करते हैं कि ये लोग तो कुछ भी नहीं कहेंगे, कुछ भी नहीं कर पाएंगे। तो वो लोग इतने गंदे गंदे मैसेजेस करते थे ना, हैरेसमेंट करते थे, इतना गंदा फीलिंग आता है कि उस वक्त आप कुछ कर भी नहीं पाते हो, आप क्या कर पाओगे, आप यू आर अ किड, आपको इतना नॉलेज भी नहीं होता है, तो हम क्या करते हैं, बस ब्लॉक कर देते हैं।
A friend of mine, she had like this case of an identity fraud where her profile was completely replicated and was used for sending out inappropriate messages to men, and so she tried blocking, reporting all of that, and initially for like 1 or 2 times that was fine, but this kept happening with the same person. and eventually she had to file a cyber harassment complaint.
जैसे कि जो नंबर प्रोवाइड्स होते हैं गवर्नमेंट्स की तरफ से हमें पुलिस की तरफ से कि आप सेफ्टी पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू से वुमेन के, तो वो मेरे पास नंबर हैं और कहीं ना कहीं माइंड में भी हमें रिलीफ रहता है कि चलो हमारे पास एक सेफ्टी पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू से एक नंबर है जिसको हम कभी भी कॉल कर सकते हैं, अप्रोच कर सकते हैं अपनी प्रॉब्लम शेयर करने के लिए, तो वो मैं एनी टाइम अपने पास सकती हूँ।
I think what people have to think about is like today it's you. The same thing is probably already happening to a lot of other people, will probably happen to a lot of other people as well. So if everyone just keeps quiet, there's not going to be any stop to this. So I think every time we report someone, or the chances of that happening to the next person like significantly keeps reducing every time it happens.
We need to educate and empower ourselves with means to fight harassment on the phone, online and in person. The True Cyber Safe curriculum is an awareness program that focuses upon improving netizens' resilience and capacity to access the digital world safely. It is about increasing awareness on cyber frauds and its impact on communities.
That's right. So learn how to tackle harassment by taking the True Cyber Safe curriculum on itsnotok.in. To report harassment, you already know the numbers. Dial 112 or 181 or log on to cybercrime.gov.in. Let me now invite Yogita Bhayana from Pari to talk about the importance of calling out harassment, because as we've been saying, it's simply not okay. Yogita, good to have you on the show. When it comes to harassment faced by women on the phone, online and offline, what is the extent of the problem in India according to the experiences you've had with Pari?
I think it's a very, very big problem, the larger than what we can discuss, the larger than we can think of. Because this problem, you being women or your team members, as women, we have seen since the time we were growing up. So it's a very deep issue, and we tend to ignore it because we think it's okay to live with it. And we've been experiencing it from age immemorial. So I think the problem is very serious, but at the same time, the enough attention which was due on this particular problem was never given. Thanks to your channel, thanks for taking this up as the main thing, because it is very crucial to raise this kind of a topic and to tell people that this is important.
So Yogita, let me ask you this. Can a victim directly contact Pari? Can you tell us how Pari helps women fight harassment?
So at Pari we run a helpline number, so it is available everywhere and on our social media platforms, also on our website, and people usually know now because we have a volunteer base of 1,000 plus people all across India. So we are reached out through our helpline number or through social media. So yes, it is very difficult to cater to all the kind of complaints which come to us, but we try to guide them, we kind to motivate them, try to tell the women with which confidence she has to go to the police station, which number she has to dial, and we are there for her.
Yogita, since this is about a joint effort, tell us how can all the stakeholders come together to ensure women feel safe, particularly in this fight against harassment. In fact, how can we move ahead in this fight in the right direction, where every woman understands it's not okay to face harassment and to tolerate harassment?
All the stakeholders, we have to address them differently. Women, first thing, every time in whichever interview I have spoken and wherever I have spoken, I encourage women to speak up. The more women speak up, the more we can address this issue. And give them confidence, give them knowledge, where to reach, how to go about it, and do not feel shy. So give them that motivation that Pari has been doing for many, many years. We've been doing a lot of campaigns and awareness workshops for women. But now, unique thing which we have started, let's reach out to the criminal. Let's reach out to the right audience, which is men, or you can say the guy in this case who's harassing the women. So we have started a campaign called We Men. So we need to start. So in Pari, we have started reaching out to these nookers, and where the boys, they group together and then they get courage. You know, we reach out to that nooker, we try to sensitize them and involve them in the sense of in controlling the crime, in the sense changing their mindset. So I think it's a high time we need to talk to the right audience, which is men. So in Pari, we are focusing there also. Now coming to the third stakeholder, which is system, like police, the politicians, the policy makers. we need to give it very, very big push, and we need to kind of create awareness in them also that this is a serious crime. And rest, of course, everywhere in judiciary, making stricter laws which are already existing, executing it, taking it more seriously. These are the things we can do. And again, involvement of media houses like you to kind of take this up.
Yogita, finally, this is Women's Day today. Anything you'd like to tell everyone who is watching you and hearing you today?
We all need to put up a fight against harassment. Women's safety should be the top priority. I applaud Truecaller and Network18 for launching their anti-harassment campaign. It is not okay, call it out. Don't just block, call it out. Join the movement.
Thank you, Yogita, for joining us and sharing your thoughts. It's important to ensure that we give safe spaces to women.
Now, when it comes to harassment, everyone should be aware of the right legal recourse available to them. Let us now invite noted lawyer Alia Waziri to share her insights on the topic. Alia, good to have you on the show. Good to see you. Do you think the current laws are enough to handle the different kinds of harassment that are currently being faced by women in the digital space and on the phone? And if not, then what would you recommend be the changes?
Hi Shreya, thank you for having me on this panel. I can tell you that there's section 67 of the IT Act. I can tell you that the IPC, which is the Indian Penal Code, has intent to outrage the modesty of women. There are several of these specific acts, specific sections in legislations that correspond to what we call cyber harassment. But there is no specific legislation that provides for cyberbullying laws in India. Yes, IT Act has been remodeled or provisions have been created, 67 of the Information Technology Act. But what we need is a targeted legislation that effectively tackles this issue. And why I say this is because the evolving terrain of digital technology will require modifications and an active approach to work within this evolving terrain and find solutions.
And Alia, what kind of proof is needed to file a complaint? Are screenshots enough?
Are screenshots enough? So I can't answer this question in isolation. I will say two things before I answer this question. Please acquaint yourself with the central government website, which is about ways to report cybercrime. If you are living in Delhi and you are watching this, please go and look at the Delhi government, the Delhi police cybercrime portal. It is excellent. It is so exhaustive. There is a list of social media crimes. If you have, let's say, friend request bullying, or you were a victim of phishing scam, pornography, child pornography, please look at this portal. You can, before I come to answer your question, you can also report anonymously, given that you have information. Now, what constitutes information? Every incident, every circumstance that you are reporting will have a different requirement. If it's an email scam, then you will have to have a screenshot of the email that was sent to you, the header, so on and so forth. If it's a social media scam, then yes, screenshots are very helpful. I cannot say screenshots are all that is required, because it will depend on the circumstances of your situation. Sorry, circumstances of the crime.
Alia, because there are a number of women who want to understand the entire process, could you share with our viewers what will happen after the complaint has been filed? Does one need to consult a lawyer as well?
Maria, do you need to consult a lawyer is a question that the person concerned has to answer. If you choose to, let's say, report your cyber harassment, cyber crime via these two portals, one by the Delhi government and one by the central government, then you will get an email. You should ideally get an email within a few days. Let's say you have not received an email within a week, and the reason I said in the beginning, it will depend on the nature of your circumstances. Let's say there's a threat to your life and limb, then of course you will have to first go to the police. They will help you. If for some reason that does not work out, you may reach out to the deputy superintendent of police, anybody who is higher than the rank of an SHO. if for some reason, that's again a very far-fetched situation, if that does not happen, then I recommend that you hire a lawyer, because at some point you need to hire a professional, you need to seek help from a professional who will help you, to go forth.
And finally, because it is International Women's Day, what will be your message to all those girls who want to really register a complaint or report the cases of harassment, but they fear what will be the societal baggage that will come along, or the long process perhaps in which women do not understand how they should approach it?
Have faith in the system, have faith in yourself. Please read up on the laws, the redressal mechanism that is available to you. Knowledge is power. Look up and acquaint yourself with the two portals, the central government portal and the Delhi Police cybercrime portal. Go through it with your friends, with your sisters, anybody, your support group, and see what all you can do.
Alia, thank you very much for joining us on the broadcast. Thank you very much. So you can learn how to tackle harassment by taking the True Cyber Safe curriculum on itsnotok.in. Let me repeat that. Itsnotok.in. And to report harassment, you already know the numbers. You can dial 112 or 181 or simply log on to cybercrime.gov.in. Educating and empowering women to fight harassment is what Truecaller and Network18 are working towards through our campaign, Call It Out, because it's not okay. Complete honor to welcome here in the studios Pragya, who is the Director Public Affairs, Truecaller India. Pragya, first of all, welcome to the show. Thank you very much. Let me start by asking you, in its fight against harassment, Truecaller has launched the True Cyber Safe curriculum to help girls and women navigate the digital world in a safe and secure manner. Could you tell us a little bit more about this?
Yeah, of course. Thank you, Shreya, for having me. Specifically on this Women's Day, I think this is a topic that must be discussed and spoken about. You know, internet has brought a lot of empowering elements to it, where we all have a voice, you know, we know each other, we connect and talk to people. And during the pandemic, of course, digital communication became the only way for us to talk to friends and family. But that also meant that when I was having that communication online, there were others who were also out there to actually take advantage of the vulnerable situation that women are in. And so we thought the best way to tackle this would be to take preventive measures and create this curriculum which will help you navigate around the online world in a really safe way and make sure that you're able to take the benefits of the internet and online communication and make sure that you have all the right tools to keep yourself safe while you're doing that. And of course, online safety is all about Truecaller reporting, caller identification, spam blocking. But what you can also do is download our Guardians app, which helps you stay safe when you're on the move. So, you know, it's a recently launched app. There are about 1 million downloads, but we would urge you to use it. It really helps you when you're on the move, allows your guardians to know where you are. And more importantly, you can also reach out to law enforcement within the app itself.
Pragya, you spoke about 1 million downloads of this Guardian app. Where is it happening mostly? Urban parts of India or rural pockets?
Yeah, I mean, that's a great question. We've noticed that our research in the last 5 years shows that harassment cuts across rural, urban, and classes as well. It also cuts across ages, you know, which is actually quite surprising. Therefore, the app is also being downloaded across India. Like I said, it's a recent launch, so it just launched last year in March. 60% of our downloads are in India. It's a global app, just like Truecaller is globally available, but a majority of our downloads are coming from India. We obviously hope to take it, you know, with the work that we're doing with Network18 and our other partners to larger part of India, both tier 2, tier 3 cities.
Pragya, there are also degrees to harassment.
Sure.
So when is the time, for all our viewers who are watching, when is the time you say, no, enough is enough, and I need to report this to authorities?
Yeah, I mean, you know, the surveys and the research and a lot of my own personal conversations with victims of harassment, we've realized that there's a lot of social pressure that comes with reporting. You know, you feel like you're going to be called out, or there are going to be situations where it's going to be told to you that it was really your fault and there was really nothing wrong with the harasser. And so I think this education and awareness in a way allows you to not normalize harassment, which we feel is okay, we forget about it, and we move on. Then we move on to our next day because we've been so used to it. And so I think what we're trying to do here is have a collaborative approach, make sure that people know how they can stay safe online, also come together, whether that's policymakers, law enforcers, or just people at home who can support us and say that, yes, it should be fine if you want to leave home at 10 p.m. It's not, it should not be something that should not allow you to work or quit your job or, you know, not be able to go out and just have a good time if you'd like to do that. So I think that's what we're trying to achieve through this campaign.
So that brings us to the last question, Pragya. On this Women's Day, what would be your message, Truecaller's message to all the women out there who hesitate to call it out?
I mean, it takes a lot of courage. You know, we all come from different places, whether that is, when I say different places, it doesn't necessarily mean obviously cities, but I mean we all have our social construct, which is very different, and it takes a lot of boldness and courage to actually go out and call it out. But when along with you, you know that there are 50 other people, or there's society and there's law enforcement, everyone who's willing to support you when you take that bold step, it just becomes a lot easier, which is what we want to drive through this campaign, that don't just report and block on Truecaller, but go out and call the 112 helpline, call the 181 helpline. You know, we've been having conversations with the Ministry of Home, with also Delhi Police and other state police, you know, systems, and they do say that when women do come, they do their best to tackle this. Obviously, because they also have women at home and they want to create a safer society. That's what they want to drive towards. So the only message is call it out, come together, be courageous, be bold, and also when you talk about online communication, you know, use Truecaller, obviously, but block and report, because it's a community-driven application. The more you block it, the more context other women have.
Those are wise words, and that's the practical way to tackle a situation which can be complex sometimes.
You know, since we're talking on Women's Day and both of you are public figures, I would really also like to know your own personal anecdotes and stories of tackling harassment, because I'm sure you have them. It'll really help us understand also what you as anchors and also public figures go through. So please.
You know, I'll tell you, with my experience, limited experience, we've had stalkers, right? Wow. And women in public life will have stalkers sometimes, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And you know, I wasn't sure whether I should be reporting it, because in your head, you think this will go away. You know, I'm strong and I can just scream at the person and tell him to buzz off and it'll go away. It doesn't go away.
Yeah.
That's what I learned. It doesn't go away. True. Till you have the long arm of the law stepping in. And I realized that too late though. I did seek help,
right.
But I wish I was wiser when I was going through what I was.
And Shreya, I'm going to take that thought a little ahead. And because I come from a small town, I come from Patna in Bihar, and I agree with you that there is a lot of stigma that is associated with conversations around harassment.
True.
That in living rooms, the daughters do not really share with their fathers or with their brothers what they are going through almost on a daily basis.
I agree.
I think what is needed here, while we share stories, what we have been through, the conversation has to go to B towns of India. And that's where girls who have gathered that strength to step out of their homes, they need that strength again from some source that will tell them that it's okay to talk about it, that it's okay to have that very uncomfortable conversation with your parents who will help you approach a law enforcement authority.
And also, you know, just taking forward from that, it's not just in small places, even in larger towns.
Yes.
When a young girl or any girl is approaching law enforcement agencies, the first thought is, hey Bhagwan, we'll have to go to a police station.
Yes.
Will we even be heard? ये लोग तो FIR ही नहीं दर्ज करते.
True.
You know, those are impressions that all of us carry. And there is probably a reason why many young girls don't report harassment online or offline to law enforcement authorities. But this has been a good conversation, Pragya.
No, I'm glad you guys have shared your story. I really appreciate it, and I think I also picked up some things from you, which is around social conditioning.
Yes.
And we're obviously tackling that with a number of mental health experts. And even the curriculum that we have, we try and integrate, you know, the whole empathetic angle. What does it really mean when you go through this harassment? For men also to understand that and then realize that it's just not an SMS, it's just not calling 5 times.
Yeah.
It actually cripples you. Your whole day gets thrown off by something as simple as that. So thank you so much for sharing your stories. And yeah, please
Pleasure.
go out and report it and
Yes.
call 112, because even the government is doing a lot. You know, women-only police stations, creating a number of opportunities and also infrastructure.
Keep the good fight going.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Pragya, for joining us here on the show. These are very wise words that you have, you have spoken here on this platform. Hopefully, it will inspire many more women to actually step out and call out every instance of harassment.
And viewers, if you or anyone you know has faced and fought harassment, share your stories with call it out hashtag or write to us on itsnotok.in. As we have been saying, we are stronger together.
Harassment and bullying is not just faced by you and me, it also affects young girls.
Now let's invite one such girl who has been very active on social media space in this mega launch of Call It Out Because It's Not Okay. Kangana Sood is joining us. Kangana, can you tell everybody watching the kind of harassment or bullying that you have faced?
Thank you so much for having me. It's an honor to be here and to be able to talk about this issue. So there have been several instances where I've faced online harassment, and I think it's fairly common for people and especially girls my age. But the most distressing one was back when the second wave of COVID had hit the country, and I was volunteering with various organizations to collect leads and verify information. So I don't generally take calls from unknown numbers, right? But in those days I thought, what if it's someone in need? But what followed a lot of these messages and phone calls left me in sheer disgust. Even in the pandemic, the virus wasn't our greatest threat. It was these shameless men who, even in the face of grief, chaos and death, couldn't stop themselves from harassing women online.
Kangana, can I ask you what made you speak out against this online harassment? And I'm asking you this today because there are so many young women, young girls who go to schools and colleges who are watching you, and they want to know that, if it happens to you, if it happens to someone, what their reaction should be. Should it be to block that person? Should it be to change your phone number, or simply to let it go?
I could have let it go when those random boys from my school were calling me at odd hours, but I didn't, because it made me uncomfortable. And they might say things about me, she can't take a joke, and that's fine, because this joke I really can't take. Simply blocking a person is not the solution. वो आपको तंग नहीं कर रहे, किसी और को करेंगे. But the problem still persists. Social media has given us immense power, but with that power comes great responsibility, and that is why I urge everyone to speak up. Don't let this go. This is not something that you should just let slide. It's something that deserves punishment.
Kangana Sood, on this Women's Day, what will you be telling all those fellow students who get bullied online and face harassment? How should they stand up against harassment?
On this Women's Day, my message to everyone watching would be, we've all heard of stories of people being so weighed down by online harassment that they end up taking drastic measures, sometimes even taking their own life. Now these stories, they haunt me. Mostly because I wish that I could rewrite them. I wish that I could go back in time and make the perpetrator rethink what they did. Let's end this cycle of not speaking up, so that the next time this perpetrator even thinks of blurting out something that could end up scarring a person, he or she is reminded of the consequence they faced last time and they immediately shut up.
Thank you, Kangana. We are amazed by your courage and determination, certainly, to fight harassment, and her story, Shreya, will be inspiring several out there.
Absolutely. I would now like to invite Vineet Kumar. He's the founder of Cyber Peace Foundation to talk about their recent tie-up with Truecaller to make the online experience safer for everyone, especially for women. Vineet, thank you very much. My first question, Online harassment is often overlooked, with more emphasis laid on offline or physical violence. At the ground level, how critical is the situation of cybercrime and bullying? And can you share with our viewers some data to bring home the stark reality of online harassment, if you have any?
Thanks, Shreya. I completely agree with you. There has been a kind of increase in such cases related to cyberbullying, cyber stalking. And I'm just quoting the NCRB statistics as of now. NCRB has seen an increase in the number of such cases, about 110% in cases of violence, cyber violence against women in the cyberspace. That has increased. And talking about the helpline that we run as Cyber Peace Foundation, we have also seen an increase in the number of cases. Out of the 10 calls that we receive, 4 cases are related to online harassment of women. So that definitely I've seen a shift. In fact, we as an organization have seen a shift. And again, thanks to COVID-19 and pandemic, one positive side of it is more and more people are getting digital. But the downside is even perpetrators are now exploiting the internet space, the cyberspace, to kind of target women in this particular space.
When a woman faces online harassment, how can they reach out to you, and what kind of assistance do you provide to these victims?
Thanks, Maria. The kind of assistance that we provide as a foundation is, number one, we have a helpline. We have a chatbot. The number is 957. There are 5000000066. Victims reach out to us on the helpline, on the email, on the IVR, on the chatbot. So first level of details are taken by the expert who sits on the helpline, and then thereafter we assist the victim. We call it as victim assistance because we are not a law enforcement agency. We can't investigate a case and kind of nail down a perpetrator. So we highly recommend reporting, number one, on the channels. Like, for example, Ministry of Home Affairs has something called as the National Cybercrime Reporting Portal, which is cybercrime.gov.in. In fact, there's a number also, which is 1930. It has recently been changed. In fact, the National Commission for Women, ncw.gov.in, also has a reporting platform where victims can go and report, file a complaint online. Plus, they have a number also, a helpline number, a WhatsApp helpline number where they can report the cases. And then the NCW team also acts quickly, very swiftly on cyber-related complaints. Number 3 is reporting to the local police station, local cyber police station. Now, in fact, recently there has been a lot of shift, and the government also understands the need of cyber police station, and every district now has a cyber police station. In fact, majority of the states have. So you need to just walk up to a local cyber police station, gather as much as screenshots, as much as content you have related to the criminal, report the case, and that's where the law enforcement comes and helps you. And number 4 would be the Cyber Peace Helpline. Because as the foundation, as we are a foundation, we are connected to the tech companies also. And we are trusted partners for certain companies, certain platforms. And what we do is if the case gets reported to us, if the case is filed at the required kind of portals like the cybercrime.gov.in, we kind of take the content, and then thereafter we kind of reach out to the platforms for a kind of speedy action on this particular case, and they action it very quickly. So these are some of the cases, some of the ways wherein you can report cases, wherein a victim can report cases. And as foundation also, we are there to help to these victims so that we kind of make the cyberspace safer for everyone.
Vineet, you have partnered with Truecaller for an online safety program, True Cyber Safe. Can you tell us about that and the idea behind partnering with Truecaller for women's safety?
That's correct, Shreya. We have started Truecaller and Cyber Peace. It's a joint initiative called as True Cyber Safe. Under this campaign, the major focus is awareness, prevention, because I feel prevention is something that we should focus on, because investigation takes a lot of time. So the whole idea is to make maximum people aware about how things happen. We are going to talk about harassment of women in the cyberspace, and also when we talk about generic cybercrime that happens, like the financial fraud, UPI-related frauds, matrimonial frauds, and several other things in the campaign. The kind of content that we are creating would be multilingual and touching those territories where not much is being done. For example, the entire campaign will be kicked off in the state of Assam and touching upon all the northeastern states, then we'll do other states. So that's the whole idea. Prevention is one. The other thing is we also want to create some community volunteers, like the cyber peace volunteers, who can be there in those states, who can disseminate the messages of safety and also could act as a first responder. So that's basically what we are doing. The entire idea is to, again, prevent people, also kind of reach out to the victims if the victim needs help. So kind of give them a ray of hope that if something has gone wrong with you, it's not something that you need to worry. Crime happens with everyone. It happens with everyone. So what you need to do is to report and then apprise them about the reporting that happens on the platform, reporting that happens on this National Cybercrime Reporting Portal, the National Commission for Women, even reporting on the platforms. How can you yourself reach out to the platforms and get your content taken down? Then also, because Cyber Peace Foundation is also helping the victims, it's also sharing the helpline number that we have, wherein any victim that needs assistance, though we have a limited bandwidth, but we'd be very happy to kind of help assist the victims in whatever form we can. So this is the whole idea of the campaign, and trying to make everyone safe through this campaign.
Thank you, Vineet. Viewers, do check out the True Cyber Safe curriculum, which will help you access the digital world safely and increase awareness on cyber frauds.
So over the next couple of months, we'll be engaging with policymakers, with law enforcers, social organizations, and women from all walks of life to shine the spotlight on ways to fight harassment.
And let us now welcome our next guest on the show, Susan Ferguson. She is UN Women's Country Representative for India, and she is here to lend her support for our campaign against harassment. Susan, appreciate your time. UN Women works towards the empowerment of women and girls. In India, you have undertaken many initiatives to end violence against women. What is the extent of the problem? Give us a sense of how rampant, according to you, is this harassment that is faced by women every day?
Okay, well, thank you so much for the question. And actually, this kind of violence is incredibly rampant across the world. This is something that every country faces, and including India. So some countries, the violence is 2 out of 3 women experience this kind of domestic violence or gender-based violence. And in India, it's 1 out of 3 women. And most of this violence is perpetrated by someone they know. So it's very rampant. And unfortunately, we know that it has increased under the COVID lockdowns, which were very necessary to keep us safe from the illness, but unfortunately increase the amount of domestic violence at home. So it's a problem that every country faces.
Susan, the phone and the internet are being used as a tool to harass women and girls. We know this, and a lot is at stake, including one's safety and emotional well-being as well. Now, what steps can different stakeholders, like say governments or civil society organizations and tech companies, take to raise more awareness on this issue, which impacts almost most women on this planet?
I think we all have a role to play in raising this kind of awareness, and at the same time as awareness campaigns are crucial so that women know that they should not have to put up with online violence. Also important is having the services available to women who may have experienced that kind of violence and making them aware of that as well. In India, even during the pandemic, actually, the one-stop centres that the government funds and has established to support women survivors of violence remained open throughout COVID. And in fact, the government increased the number of centres. So having this kind of support along with prevention is really crucial to stopping this violence.
Through our campaign, Call It Out Because It's Not Okay, we aim to encourage and empower women to report cases of harassment. Susan, do you feel that a concerted effort to report all instances of harassment is an important step to ensure that this harassment actually reduces?
Yes. In a word, yes. I think that this is really crucial because I think if women reported this kind of violence more, we would, number one, we would have a better understanding of what it looks like and the numbers of women that experience this violence. Although we have some research that shows that in different countries, in fact, in Asia Pacific, there was some research done that showed that 58% of women have experienced this kind of violence in the countries in Asia and Pacific. So it's rampant. But I think that that's probably a drop in the bucket, actually. I think there's probably a lot more of this violence that occurs. And many women don't know that it is violence. So having the ability to report the violence is really the first step in providing support and assistance to women.
Susan, and things are more complicated because, of course, we live in a digital age, so we are dealing with things like deep fakes, morphing, etc. In this scenario, what is the best way to assist victims of cyber violence?
So I think, again, knowledge is power, isn't it? So having the knowledge that you don't have to suffer this kind of violence is, as we just mentioned, really the first step. So knowing it's violence, knowing it's not okay, and also having somewhere to report it is really crucial. So, and then sitting behind that, once it's been reported, then having a response mechanism to make sure that women can get help is also really crucial. And there we all have a role to play, including, government-run services, NGOs, and ourselves. So trying to have an approach that we all agree to and then can take action to stop the violence is really crucial, as well as information about where to report it.
And Susan, finally, what would be your message to everyone, all the young ladies who are watching us today on Women's Day?
Thank you for that question. So International Women's Day, it's a day that we all come together to celebrate women's empowerment. And so it's a perfect opportunity to remind everyone that women are 50% of the world's population. We are an enormous power in ourselves. And that it's really up to all of us to be able to unlock women's potential so that we can be, full participating members of our communities. So on International Women's Day, I really would like to just leave us with this message that unlocking women's potential so that is constrained because of this violence, unlocking that potential can have a massive development impact for our countries. So let's open up women's potential and stop this kind of violence.
Susan Ferguson, thank you for that very powerful message. And viewers, if you face harassment of any kind through any medium, please call it out. To report harassment, Shreya, and we have been telling all our viewers the number that is there on your television screens, dial 112 or 181 or log on to cybercrime.gov.in.
That's right, and you can learn how to tackle harassment by taking the True Cyber Safe curriculum on itsnotok.in. So let's empower ourselves with the right knowledge and the courage, more importantly, to call out harassment. We at Network 18, along with Truecaller, are committed towards enhancing women's safety.
And what better way, Shreya, to start this than today, Women's Day. Let's make a commitment to stand united against harassment, call it out, because it's not okay.
It's certainly not. And we are inviting all of you watching us today to be a part of this momentous campaign. So stay tuned to our social media handles for a host of activities we have planned through the day today. And do stay connected with us with the hashtag #CallItOut, because there's lots coming up through the day.
And we have lots planned for you for the next few months as well. With that, we have come to the end of this special broadcast. Thank you once again for joining us on this mega launch of Call It Out, because it's not okay.
It's certainly not. Always remember that. Thanks for watching.